Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I will be answering the AuthorTube Newbie tag questions as well as the BookTube Newbie tag questions. The whole thing is about introductions, so I'll just go for it. How did you find out about AuthorTube? I found out about BookTube and by association AuthorTube after falling down a click hole that started with terrible writing advice and ended with #ArcsAreFree. From there I found a few interesting channels like Shaylin Writes, Read with Cindy, and the Courtney Project. Why did you start this YouTube channel? I want to expand my circle of writer and reader friends and maybe trade some experiences and learn new things. In which genres do you write? I write dark high fantasy. If you're looking for specificity, I would describe my work as neutral dark fantasy fiction that explores the consequences of story actions on individuals and society at large across multiple works and is primarily focused on complex female characters. My stories also include a healthy smattering of LGBT characters, and by that I mean most of my main characters are lesbian, bisexual, or asexual. What kind of books do you like to read? I like speculative fiction, obviously, nonfiction about a variety of topics like history, the other hobbies I have, and linguistics, as well as graphic novels and webcomics. I don't really do literary fiction, general or contemporary fiction, young adult books of any genre, fan fiction, horror, or romance. What AuthorTube-related videos can we expect to find on your channel? Well, that's a good question. Most of my experience is in the realm of extensive planning, weaving multi-character storylines together, balancing dark stories, and really intense world building. Like, probably a little bit too much. But I find that I do my best work when I allow myself to engage equally in writing, artwork, and world building, which is a hobby I enjoy in itself. I'm also heavily interested in being healthy as a creative person, so I'll likely post videos relating to things about healthy productivity, creative self-care, and similar. As far as book reviews go, I'm terrible analyzing from the perspective of a reader, and criticizing other authors' works as an author can get messy, so maybe if I find something I can discuss from the angle of what I can learn from it, I will post reviews, but until then, I have no plans. When did you start writing? I started writing in 7th grade, so I would have been right around 13. We were in the middle of taking ISATs, which I can only equate to the ACT or SAT, but for determining which schools to defund, and they were just about as exciting as they sound. I had acquired a small journal, and I was bored out of my ever-loving mind, so I decided, hey, I'm going to write a story. What was the first story you ever wrote? Ahem. G looked scornfully upon her everlasting duty. It's not fair, she whined to her parents. Why do I have to leave school to become a Niaga? I'm barely 3. Because the Creator chose you, that's why, said her father. Why, if I were you, I'd be proud to be chosen as a Niaga. But, Dad, you aren't even a girl, and you're nearly 40, retaliated G. G remembered that night as if it were yesterday. Now 15, she was an official Niaga, or light sister. But since the set of Surik, she was one of the last of her kind. Don't talk nonsense now, she muttered to herself as she walked. I'm almost 9 years older than I was, and it's too late to do anything about it now. She almost walked into a peasant. Yes, you heard that correctly. She almost walked into a peasant. That is the action that is tied to this piece of dialogue. At the time of writing, I was absolutely nutty for Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion, and Brave Story by Miyuki Miyabi, and also painfully influenced by Legend of the Seeker, at the time, not anymore, which I used to watch with my dad. Definitely should not have been watching that at that age, or at any age. So I drew from all of these things and said, I'm gonna write a story that has a lot of these elements mashed together. Absolutely 0 of these things go together, but damn if I didn't try to make it work. I wrote a decent amount of this story as well. It was close to 100 pages, and all of them were handwritten. I actually do not have an electronic copy of any of this, which honestly might be for the better. I did keep some world building from this story, but it's so heavily modified, it's essentially unrecognizable. For example, I do use the name Cyril for one of my main characters, and Etisia is the name of a continent, which is not the one that my current stories take place on, but it is within the same world. Cyril is nothing like the Cyril that's in this original work of mine, and Etisia is the only similarity is that the capital is still named Solskjaen, because I think that's one of the better names I've come up with. Do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you read and write in general? Anywhere that won't put me or others in imminent danger, really. I prefer reading physical books, but for writing I prefer typing. If I'm using our desktop, I'm writing in the living room, 'cause that thing ain't moving, and the tablet I can take wherever is convenient at the time. Are you a planner, pantser, or plantser? I am what you might call an exhaustive outliner. The outline for one of my works is 12,000 words long. 12,000. You heard that right. It's not 1,200, 12,000. It's basically its own novella. For my shorter and more straightforward work, the outline still breaks 5K. Arranging my scenes like this, however, does allow me to have a very workable schema that helps keep me on track and allows me to quickly and easily make very drastic changes well in advance of writing them, especially when I'm writing stories that are complex or follow multiple characters. So I suppose you could say that I'm also a plantser, since my outlines are not chiseled in stone. I think that these planner, pantser, plantser distinctions are more of a fluid spectrum than a hard definition. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? I would describe myself as conscious of the fact that I need to write, yet not having a specific time to do so. I write even when my creativity isn't cooperating, but I rarely plan out a dedicated time or place. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? I prefer close third-person limited. However, I am currently working on a story that is written in first-person past tense with a shift to first-person present tense at the end. Trust me, it makes a lot more sense in context than it sounds like it does. I write for adults exclusively and would not say that my stories are at all appropriate for children or young teens. That's not because I am particularly violent or gory or sexual in what I write. It's mainly because a lot of the themes that I choose to deal with are probably not appropriate for children. What authors have inspired your writing most? I tend to be influenced by individual stories more so than writers, and not all of my inspiration is drawn solely from printed media. I would say my biggest influences are The Tale of Despero and The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, both by Kate DiCamillo, Poppy by Avi, and Brave Story by Miyuki Miyabe, which were all very important to me as a child. Avatar: The Last Airbender, which was created by Brian Konietzko and Michael Dante DiMartino, and the Elder Scrolls games, both for their attention to detail in world building. James Cameron's Avatar, less for the story and more for the effort that went into creating the Na'vi, which opened my eyes to the idea that not everything has to be elves, dwarves, and wizards all the time, and was instrumental in my decision to develop my own original fantasy species. Puella Magi Madoka Magica, created by Akiyuki Shinbo, Gen Urobuchi, Ume Aoki, and Atsuhiro Iwakami, because it is as yet the only piece of media that has made me cry. I will probably end up making a video about the impact this show had on me, and why I think it's a masterwork of storytelling and world building. I must stress the vagueness of this last influence, but I would be remiss to not include it, which is the webcomic Homestuck by Andrew Hesse, mainly for instilling me with curiosity about the social, interpersonal, and political ramifications that would arise from a species capable of having a variety of different blood colors. What book or series got you into reading? Well, when I was in second grade, a local community member regularly came in and read to us for story time. She was very encouraging of reading and writing as a hobby. The two stories that I remember her reading to us were The Tale of Despero and Poppy. I'm not much on stories with talking animals as an adult, but these sessions are what sparked my love of storytelling at a very young age. Are you a self-published, published, or yet-to-be-published author? Well, right now I'm an out-of-print author, and that's just as well, since that was a nightmare scenario that probably deserves its own Don't Be Like Me video. But I have flash fiction available for free both on my website, which is kinda dead, and via World Building magazine, who I cannot recommend enough as a free resource for speculative fiction writers. What publishing company, literary agent, and/or printing company are you represented by, or do you use? If you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house and/or literary agent? This doesn't quite apply to me. I was originally published in an anthology printed by a small press who I presume used Lulu or something similar to print their books, but again, nightmare scenario that I never wish to repeat. World Building magazine is online only, so there's no printing to speak of. As for dream literary agents or presses, a year ago I would have told you Orbit, Tor, Daw, Dark Regions Press, and a bunch of agents whose names I have jotted down somewhere. My thoughts on publishing will likely spawn a video unto themselves, so for now I'll leave it at none of the above. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Well, I'm honestly not sure. I feel like any question I might think of would have already been asked or answered in one of their videos or their social media, so honestly, I'd probably look up my question before I thought to ask someone individually. What are some fun and unique things that you can bring to BookTube? I have 4 words: magical lesbian cat elves. What are you most excited for now that you're a part of AuthorTube? Writing. That sounds counterintuitive since spending time making videos is time I'm not spending writing, but I'm hoping that spreading out my creativity a little bit more will bolster my desire to write. I am most excited for meeting new writers and readers through this channel. I think it's time for a bonus round. Why are you drawing? I am extremely uncomfortable in front of cameras and I'd like to draw more, so this is a win-win for me. Plus, you can just listen in and not miss facial cues and such if you don't want to watch a video right at that moment. Do you only draw manga and chibi style stuff? No, I just like the way it appears for the character of Writer Punk. Wait, are you really just going to say magical lesbian cat elves and not tell us what that means? Yes, but don't worry because you'll probably find out next time. Thank you again, and I appreciate the time you took to watch my video. For my obligatory social media plug, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @thechromabooks if you like. I'm happy to hear from you in the comments as well. So I will see you next time.